Morning all. I'd like to show you another fascinating game of a very young Garry Kasparov when he was just 14 years old. This was played in the southern eastern part of France called the Cagnes-sur-Mer part of France. This is the largest suburb of the city of Nice and lies to the west-southwest of it, about 15 kilometers from the centre. So Kasparov playing white against Dariusz Weider played d4, and we saw knight f6, c4, and now a slightly rare move from the opponent, b6. Usually it's just e6, trying to go into a Nimzo Indian. Kasparov reacts with knight c3, after bishop b7, queen c2, and now we see d5. Kasparov takes on d5, after knight takes d5. He plays actually here knight f3, and let's put on the Kibitzer actually. I think a routine move like e4 is okay actually in this position. There isn't any little trap here. If queen d1 then queen takes d4, okay, that's a little trap for taking and then knight c2, but white actually in this position just plays queen a4 check, with actually black being in big trouble because of d5. So there's no problem playing e4 here, but Kasparov played the more cautious knight f3 in any case. e6, and now e4 here. Knight takes c3, b takes c3. White's centre looks quite good, and in this position black played c5. This has occurred quite a lot, this position, by transposition, and the most common move here is actually to play a3 in light of this bishop b4 check possibility after black takes on d4. Kasparov in this position played a disruptive check, which the engines actually really like this move. It's not that theoretical, but this is a strange move order in any case. It's causing quite a bit of disruption here. In fact, if black played here knight c6, let's have a quick look. Black didn't play this, but queen a4 is a very good move in this position. If queen c7, then we just play d5 and we're winning material. If rook c8, then we just grab the a pawn because that knight's immobilized with that pin. So white's better here actually. This looks a little bit materialistic, but white's getting away with it. So this disruptive check has to be reacted with actually bishop c6, and this takes away the c6 square for the knight to put pressure on d4. And now the bishop just goes back to d3. So it wasn't a wasted tempo, it's disrupting black's development. Black took now on d4, Kasparov took back, bishop b4 check, bishop d2, bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, now both sides castle, and then we see knight d7. Here, an aggressive move, queen f4, so eyeing some sensitive points on the king side potentially. Also rook c1, just doubling with rook c1 to c3 is on the cards here. That would be useful just to use that c file and infiltrate via c7 potentially. Black wants to trade queens now with queen b8. That's avoided by Kasparov, and again the persistent opponent Dariusz plays queen d8, wanting exchange of queens, again refused, queen b8. Then Kasparov plays queen g4, and it looks as though this might be an issue, queen g4, because of a potential f5 at some point to gain tempo. For the moment, queen b7 also threatens just knight f6 now, winning e4. So in this position e4 is reinforced in light of knight f6 with rook fe1, but now we get this aggressive move which black's tempted to play, given he seemed to prompt the queen to be on g4. So was it planned for the queen to be on g4? But f5 seems to exploit that fact that the queen is there. So is it a dangerous move? Well, the idea is to cause structural damage with bishop takes f3. Kasparov in this position might not also like e takes f5 immediately. He didn't play this because of knight f6, and this is still quite dangerous for structural damage. In this position actually he just played, I think, an even better move, more powerful than e takes f5. He just dropped back the queen to h3, and it is eyeing up h7 from here, and there's also an eye kept on e6. So black in this position is not in a great position for f takes e. If f takes e, queen takes e6 check, and we just take on e4. White's doing very well here. He's on c6 there, so there's no time for rook e8 or anything like that. So here, after queen h3, black is actually incurred some weaknesses. Even though he's activated this rook, there's some weaknesses here, but black tries to get the rook into the attack with rook f6. Very aggressive play. E takes f5 though, capturing away this from the centre and seemingly allowing double pawns, potentially. In this position, if bishop takes f3 though, then actually f takes e6 is possible, eyeing h7. And if rook h6, then just queen takes f3, white's doing very well there. So, here, actually e takes f5 was played, but now Kasparov just pins the knight, rook e7, threatening bishop takes f5. But does it allow bishop takes f3, damaging white's pawn structure? Bishop takes f3 was played, but the wily 14-year-old here doesn't automatically recapture. Kasparov has a much stronger move in this position. Can you guess it? You might want to pause the video if I give you 10 seconds starting from now. White to play. Okay, bishop takes f5. Just threatening a mate in 2, you know, taking here, and then queen takes g7. Threat of mate in 2 here. And if rook takes f5, this doesn't really help, because queen takes f5 is very, very dangerous. It's on d7 and threatening another mate in 2. If bishop d5, for example, here, rook takes d7, it's all fallen to bits for black. So in this position, black actually tried rook f7, but now queen takes h7 is pretty dangerous. But even another strong move was actually played, rook ae1, threatening actually a mate in 2 with queen takes h7 and queen h8. So rook ae1, threatening a mate in 2 again. What does black do? Although he's temporarily at peace up, his kingside safety has been shot to bits in this position. He played actually g6, and now Kasparov simply played rook takes f7. And here, the opponent recognising his king safety has this disintegrated, resigned. Let's have a look. If king takes f7, then queen takes h7. And now if king f8, then rook e7. And it's end of game. It's mate, next move, whatever black does. In this position after rook ae1, it's a very, very difficult position. If the rook had taken here instead, rook takes e7. This threat of mate in 2, if h6 here, the rook on the 7th is absolutely brilliant. Again, white just goes for the king here with queen g3, threatening mate, creating a terrible weakness. If black has to play g5 or g6, say g5, then check, and wherever the king goes, it gets slaughtered. If king f8, then check, and if king e8, then queen d6, and his mating actually next move. For example, knight f6, rook f8 is mate, or queen f8. So that's just hopeless, this defense here. And if king h8, then actually in this position, queen h3, and the queen's getting in. If h5, well, just queen f5 now, the queen's getting in. So that rook on the 7th is absolutely decisive. So quite a crushing game. And it just shows that even at this stage, if the opponents of Kasparov created weaknesses, then they were often bashed up quite quickly, and it resulted actually in tactical miniatures, which I think are quite instructive. I hope you enjoyed that. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.